What's up, everybody? Good late afternoon or early evening. And today's been a pretty active day in terms of Seahawks news. Some of it pretty substantial stuff. But there is one thing that happened today that I don't think it qualifies as substantial, but it is at the very least interesting. And we should probably spend a little bit of time talking about this and the potential ramifications. The NFL officially lifted their suspension on Dee Eskridge. So Dee Eskridge is now eligible to get on the football field for the Seahawks. And he's been back at the VMAC for a couple weeks, but he hasn't been eligible to practice. So he's been doing some running on the side. He's been doing some stuff to show that he's in shape, but he hasn't been eligible to practice with the team. Now he is eligible to practice. So there's a roster exemption that we get where he can practice without counting against the 53-man roster. So pretty decent chance that we just use that. So he's able to kind of ramp his way up. And we probably don't see him eligible to play this week against the Browns, but maybe in the Ravens game he can make his return. And Eskridge, seems like we've got some kind of a plan for him, right? He's still here. He's still on the team. We had the opportunity to let him go, and now would be an opportunity to potentially let him go. But we just decided that, hey, we've still got plans for this guy. So, according to this Greg Bell tweet, like I said, he's been running off to the side full speed, so health is not really a big concern with him. There doesn't seem to be any reason to believe that the injury he sustained in the preseason is going to keep him out of the game if we have the opportunity to play him and we feel like he would help us by being out there. And Carroll indicated that as long as he makes it through this week, he's got a chance to get going pretty quickly. So Dee Eskridge is back, but what is he going to be able to do on this team? Even with DK Metcalf out. Like, let's say DK Metcalf misses more time, which I think is unlikely because he almost played in the Cardinals game. But let's say DK Metcalf misses more time this year. Even in that scenario, does Dee Eskridge do anything for this team? Because there's some other stuff brewing here as well. Kenny McIntosh is returning to practice this week, and I mean, he and Eskridge are probably going to be on a similar timeline for actually being able to play. And some of the stuff that Eskridge maybe could have done this year is potentially going to be taken up by McIntosh. Because you take a look at the offense and you say, okay, let's say Metcalf misses more time. We've got Lockett, we've got JSN, we've got Bobo. You cannot take away snaps from those three guys and give them to Eskridge. Eskridge has done nothing to deserve that or earn that. Those three guys are too good and too effective, especially right now. Like with what Bobo is doing, with what Lockett has done, and with what JSN can do, I don't think you can take away snaps from those guys. So the other receivers who are playing at all right now in the absence of Metcalf would be Winston Jr. and Cody Thompson, and those guys get like 5 snaps a game combined. So I guess Eskridge could take the snaps from one of those guys. Honestly, I don't even know if he would be ahead of Cody Thompson in the pecking order. Cody Thompson, he doesn't do a lot, but there does seem to be a level of comfort with him in this offense, and he's a good practice player. So I don't even know about that. So maybe you say Eskridge takes the place of Easop Winston, but Easop Winston at best plays like 2 snaps a game. So that's not meaningful in any way. Honestly, you might rather give those snaps to Easop Winston because at least he's cheaper and at least he's shown a better propensity to stay healthy on a football field, right? Um, if Metcalf comes back, by the way, then this kind of becomes completely moot. And while we're here, let's not forget there's also Derek Young. Curtis Crabtree has this tweet here. Carroll said Derek Young is getting really close to come back to practice from IR. Should be this week or next. So he's going to be on a similar timeline to Eskridge and McIntosh. So even if you say, okay, Metcalf, Lockett, JSN, Bobo, and then the 5th receiver could be Eskridge, I don't think Eskridge has seniority over Derek Young, who has produced more in this league, relatively speaking, than Eskridge. He's cheaper. He's got more years of club control, and there's more versatility to his game because of the stuff he does when he lines up at fullback. So you put it all together, it's really hard for me to figure out how Eskridge fits into the offense, especially when you have a guy like Kenny McIntosh, who I just mentioned, playing some running back and wide receiver, because that's one of the appeals of Kenny McIntosh. He's a really good route runner. He can play a little wide receiver. He's going to do some of the things that maybe you thought Eskridge was going to do. And even if you drill all the way down to special teams, which is the one area where I thought Eskridge might maybe do something this year, you've got Kenny McIntosh and DJ Dallas in the way. And while Eskridge might be a pretty decent return man on kicks or punts, I don't know if he would take that role away from Dallas or step ahead of McIntosh for that. I said in the preseason that I think Kenny McIntosh would be a good returner of punts. And honestly, DJ Dallas is doing such a good job at both. I know he had the fumble yesterday, but overall, DJ Dallas is doing really well with the punt returns, and we know he's a good kick returner. So I think it's kind of a moot point anyway. There's not much there. So what's left for Eskridge? There's just no snaps left until people start getting hurt. And honestly, even when people start getting hurt, you might still say, hey, I'd rather see what we can get from a guy like Aesop Winston or Cody Thompson, or maybe you could even call up, try to see if Matt Landers is still available. I don't know if he's on a practice squad right now or an active roster, but he showed a little bit in the preseason. Maybe you'd rather go there. Like, it's hard to find any scenario, any realistic scenario where Eskridge gets involved here. So this may be the least impactful news of the week, in a week where it looks like there's going to be quite a bit of impactful stuff happening, but it seems like this team is at least acting like there's some kind of plan here for Eskridge to play. They didn't release him during his suspension, although they didn't need to because he didn't take up a roster spot, and he still looks like he's not going to take up a roster spot for a week, so I guess we don't have to make the decision now. But it would be weird for us to get all the way to the point where we have to activate him to the 53-man and then say, okay, we're going to let you go now. If that's the case, then why is he even at the VMAC? Why is he even doing wind sprints on the side if you're planning to dump him? So obviously it's good to have depth, but honestly, is Dee Eskridge better than the depth that we have already? I'm not convinced. We got some guys on the practice squad that are at the very least interesting. I'd say at least as interesting as Eskridge. Eskridge has shown promise in like 2 games so far in his career, and it's not that much. It's just a little bit. So, I don't know. Do you guys think Eskridge has any room on this team to do something? Are you guys seeing any kind of a role for him? Is there anything this guy can do? I don't know. Obviously, most Seahawks fans have a very negative opinion of him, but now that he's here, now that he's going to presumably be on the roster, we should probably try to find something, right? But what does he bring to the table that's better than the guys we can put out there as is? We'll find out, I guess. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. Eskridge is back, but is he really back? Is he ever really going to be back in the meaningful sense of the word? See you guys later.